24, but Kai is shit. That nigga done did everything. Any accomplishment you want to think about, man. He's most famous, most money. Met LeBron James. Like, damn, nigga, I want to meet LeBron. You know what I'm saying? He's done did all that, so maybe he's filled, you know. But to get back on track, man, you know, even the age of 30, 40, 50, these ages aren't old. Some of the most successful people in the world didn't hit their stride until maybe mid-30s, early 40s, you know? Everybody's on a different chapter in their life. Things are going to happen at different times, man. So stop stressing over your age, guys.
A lot of Gen Zs are definitely going to have a midlife crisis by the time they hit 29/30. And in today's video, we got one from Antonio Talks. He's talking about whether it's 30 old or whether it is not. We're going to actually understand what he has to say, and I'm going to give my commentary as we go. Hold up, before we get into the video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and also subscribe because we're trying to grow this channel all the way to the moon. Let's get back into the video.
I'm currently recording this video. It is December 31st, aka New Year's Eve. The reason I did quotations right there is because we all know the real New Year's is in April when springtime hit, but I digress. Tomorrow is New Year's, and that will mark 10 years since everybody's favorite year, 2016. It also puts us closer to the year 2050 than the year 2000, which is just mind-blowing. And also, for me personally, I turn 25 next year. Yes, I know, hit me with the unks. But in today's video, man, I want to like do a part 2 to my pushing 30 video. It was only 5 minutes long, very short, but I was basically talking about ageism and how my generation, Gen Z, we are so fixated on age and being young forever. Now, 30 years old, to a lot of younger people, it seems very old. When I was in my teens and when I was younger, I thought the same thing. Now that I'm getting closer and closer to that age, it's like, it's still very young. Now, y'all know I always got to bring race into.
And let's be real, because I remember when I was in like primary school, for example, right? Being a little kid around 7, 8 years old, I used to think, bro, being 21 was old. I thought I was going to have my whole life together. You know what I mean? I thought I was going to be married with kids and a car, etc. Because you're watching all these shows and you're just seeing people having their life all figured out through shows and through TV. Then when you actually get closer to the age, you start realizing, oh damn, being an adult, number one, is not easy. Being an adult also, it doesn't necessarily come how it's packaged up to us in the movies and entertainment, etc. And one thing that happens is that the more you get older, you start to mature and realize that, bro, what is really the definition of old? Because if you look in cultures and look at, you know, different ways people have actually lived through these cultures as well, a lot of them actually say that, bro, like as men, you're not really a man until you really hit like 30, for example, because below that, you don't really know yourself. Majority of guys, we don't actually understand who we really are, what we like, what we don't like. We don't hit our peak financially. We don't do so many things up until around or towards that age. You get it? So running away from it and trying to live as a youth forever doesn't make any sense. And it's the reason as to why we see so many things on the internet right now. You see a lot of people basically being ageist. You see a lot of people that are very, very old, still trying to be young, things like that. I even made a video on TikTok, right? And I got a lot of views. It was basically talking about how I generally believe the main issue, right? Let me even change my camera. And it reminds me on a video that I actually made on TikTok where I was actually saying that I generally believe one of the biggest issues that we are currently facing is that old people want to be young so bad and young people want to be so old up until the point where they're, you know, touching 30 and they realize, oh, damn, I want to be young as well. So if everyone's chasing youth and chasing this whole idea of, oh, I'm just a young person, you know, you got the girl saying I'm just a girl, you got the man them saying, oh, don't call me this, unk, etc. Bro, like, when does maturity basically kick in? And maturity does not necessarily also mean that you're going to be, you know, old and with raggedy bones and your body's going to start breaking. No, bro, you can be mature and also lit, you know. You can be mature, have things in order and also live your life. There is something called balance, bro. It's called being mature. You feel me? So I definitely believe we need to get back to that aspect in life. And then hopefully when we get to that, then obviously things will get a bit better. But it's a bit peak right now.
To everything. That's just me. But I recently came across a tweet and it was interesting to me. Someone tweeted, black people gotta let that 30 years old mentality go. I'm pretty sure that's rooted in some subhuman slavery bullshit. He might not be wrong. That's why we gonna look into it. So I just looked up the lifespan of slaves in America. The average lifespan of an enslaved person in
By the way, for those that are new to my channel, Antonio, he always like ties things in regards to race and speaks from a black perspective. I don't necessarily agree with everything he has to say, but I really love his channel and what he has to say just in regards to just things overall. He's very, very, tapped in when it comes to his take on things. So let's actually dive in and understand what's going on right here.
America varied but was tragically short, with some estimates for the U.S. around 30 to 36 years, while brutal sugar plantations in the Caribbean saw life expectancies as low as 7 to 9 years. Golly. So I'm not trying to reach or anything, but we can see that correlation right there. Now, I find this funny because I don't think, like, in the white community, I'm not white, so I don't know, but as far as, like, when I hear them talk, I don't think they use 30 as a very old marker. I came across this conversation, and these dudes were talking. It was in some, like, podcast. They were all white men. And I swear one of them was like, man, we just some kids. Whole time, them niggas was like 28, 29. I'm like, I don't, what's a kid? And maybe this was just...
Yeah, I think with white people, right, because obviously I'm cool with white people. I'm not them black guys that's like, oh, like, F for white people and stuff like that. Bro, that's just ignorant. You get it? There's a lot of cool people out there. But whenever I have conversations with them, the way they live their life is completely different to how we do in the black community. You feel me? I feel like in the black community, we are forced to grow up so much and so fast that it gets to a point where we start to resent actually maturing. You feel me? In the white community, it's almost as if though these guys understand that, look, life is short, but at the same time, it's also long. You know what I mean? Like, their midlife crisis is when you're supposed to have a midlife crisis, into the 35s, the 40s, etc. Before then, bro, they're living their life. They're traveling, they're doing things, etc. Still with their family, still with their friends, etc. and enjoying their life, etc. Is that to do with society issues and systemic issues as well? I don't really know. Couldn't really comment on that. But it's just an observation, obviously, as a black dude living in London.
It's an instance, but I don't know. Now I want to move away from race because, in my honest opinion, I feel like we just live in a generation, white or black. Everyone is fixated on age. Everyone wants to be the youngest to do things. If you listen to any of these high schoolers, bro, they want the fastest car now. They want millions of dollars, and it's just like at the snap of a finger, no work put in at all. And what people don't understand is, man, you're gonna get the best satisfaction during the grind. Like, it's the anticipation, until getting to your goal. I like to make the analogy for all my gamers, right? Everybody played GTA 5 online. When you was level 1, when you was grinding that game, when you was getting to that, trying to get to level 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, that was when it was the most fun. When you got to the highest level and you had all the mansions, all the cars, all the guns, it was boring. You know what I'm saying?
No,
and this
facts.
is why we see so many rich people nowadays, influencers saying they got mental problems. Castanet coming out saying he had mental problems. And a lot of people can't fathom that money don't equate to happiness. Although money does make things easier, it will not automatically equate to happiness. And I think the thing is, bro, with
that's just facts.
Castanet, not even to pivot, me and him around the same age. I think he's 23, I'm 24. But Kai is, that nigga done did everything. Any accomplishment you want to think about, man, he's most famous, most money, met LeBron James. Like, damn, nigga, I want to meet LeBron. You know what I'm saying? He's done did all that. So maybe
I think the biggest mistake that Kai Cenat made was obviously just wifing up that chick, Gigi. You know what I mean? It didn't make sense. I made a video breaking that down as well. I'll leave it down in the description as well. But that decision just didn't make sense. But a lot of us young people, we make silly mistakes, especially when it comes to relationships, dating and things like that as well. So can't necessarily blame the guy. But at the same time, accountability needs to be had. But Kai Cenat, please get your mental right, etc. You're an amazing guy as well.
He just feel, But to get back on track, man, even the age of 30, 40, 50, these ages aren't old. Some of the most successful people in the world didn't hit their stride until maybe mid-30s, early 40s, Everybody's on a different chapter in their life. Things are going to happen at different times, man. So stop stressing over your age, all right?
I'm 40 and I wasted my life. I've got nothing to show for it. No house, no savings, no career that I'm proud of. And if you're in your 20s or even your early 30s and you think you've got time, I'm telling you right now, you don't. In my 20s, I thought I was, super deep and cool, and because I had tattoos, and I knew some obscure bands, and played drums, and I thought being different was a personality. I wasn't building anything real. I was just chasing sex and novelty, hooking up with women because I was addicted to the high, not the connection, just the rush. I wasted so many hours just trying to get validation from people who didn't care if I lived or died. At the end of the day, I thought my life was meaningful because it looked cool.
Okay, that's a good point, man. It never live your life for others. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Don't live for your parents.
Yeah, of course. Like, what he's saying in regards to obviously chasing hedonism, that's like chasing pleasure and things like that. It makes sense. When you're hearing from the older generation and talking about, okay, it doesn't necessarily make sense wasting your life chasing, sex, pleasure, all these fleeting things, that is perfect advice. You know what I mean? Also, when you get the older lot saying, okay, start to invest from early, save your money and things like that, and be wise in the decisions that you're making, it doesn't also mean that you need to just resent getting old. And it doesn't also mean that, for example, you don't need to also enjoy your younger years as well. It's like, in society, it's almost as if though we can't have any balance. It's either you're on this side or you're on this side. No one ever wants to discuss the fact that you can actually have it both, but you can't have both at the same time. You're going to have a period of time where, let's say in your 20s and your 30s, your head is down and it's supposed to be down, grinding, doing all these type of things. And when you get older, of course, you can start to have a lifestyle that obviously your younger years prepared you to actually have if you do it correct. We're hearing from people that didn't do it correct. You know what I mean? That's the reason why everyone hates the fact that, when I get older and I'm 30, etc., my life is basically going to come to an end. It doesn't have to. You know what I mean?
And if you are a parent, bro, don't lose yourself trying to do all this stuff for your kids. Like, I'm a parent. I'm a young parent of 3. You know what I'm saying? This is gonna be one of my goals this year, is just to kind of get back into doing a lot of things I was doing before a parent. Like, I used to always go play basketball. I used to go to the gun range a lot. But when I became a father, so I had twins first, you know what I'm saying? So that was a handful. Me and my girl, we was stressing. Then we had another one, but things are getting easier now, you know what I'm saying? So one of our goals for this new year is to just prioritize ourselves more.
A part of me wanted to have kids young, but bro, I'm the same age as here. I'm just thinking of bro, nah. But I need to get my life in order, finances correct, etc. before obviously doing it. I don't know his financial position, etc. Would I recommend it for a lot of guys my age? Not really. In today's economy, it doesn't necessarily make sense to do that. But obviously, if you got a nice community around you, you got your parents to also assist, you got people in your life that's also going to help you navigate that entire, life of actually becoming a father, becoming a mother, etc., then, bro, it's your life. Live it. You feel me? But I already know.
You got to be the best version of yourself for your kids. So, always put yourself first, but also, you get what I'm saying, bruh. Damn, why am I getting mad? Hold up, because y'all get what I'm saying, bro, right?
Look cool on MySpace. But, all I was doing was burning through the most valuable years of my life.
I think a lot of people after 30 begin to question their choices and think, if I could just go back in time and change XYZ thing.
By the way, shout out to this lady. Every single time I've seen her on TikTok, right, she always has some very good talking points. Like, she speaks from, I could say, a level-headed standpoint. And I don't know whether, hopefully I'm not going to get hate for saying this, right? I don't know if it's a case in point of, when they say that, obviously, when you're not necessarily the most attractive, obviously you have to work on your personality and things like that. It was even a video where she says, how, for example, she understands that she's mid, right? And again, hopefully I don't get hate for commenting on this and things like that, but it's just a point and observation, right? She made her own video saying that she's mid and she wouldn't necessarily class herself as a hot girl, etc. So she had to work on her personality and things like that. And I can't lie, bro. I like speaking to people like that because there's a lot more depth and things like that to do with them rather than obviously chasing the whole, I'm pretty, so just accept me for who I am and etc. And it's gotten to a point where even the not pretty girls are now starting to believe that they're pretty and they can get away with that type of stuff. But anyway, that's not today's conversation, is it? Let's not talk about it. Well, my people there, I already know.
My life would be completely different.
Right, no.
But I actually watched this show recently that completely changed my perspective on a lot of this. It's called Becoming Erica. I'll give you a summary of the first episode. So Erica is a 32-year-old woman. She ends up going through a breakup. She gets a therapist. She tells this therapist that she wishes she could go back in time to some pretty pivotal events in her life and change them because she thinks that if she would be able to change them, her life would be completely different. So this therapist actually has the power to let her go back in time and change some of these events. So the first event was high school prom. What had happened originally was that she got really drunk. A bunch of her friends made fun of her. She ruined the night. And so this time when she went back, she decided not to drink at all. But then what ended up happening, because she decided to not drink at all, her friends got mad at her. One of her friends got too trashed because she was mad at her for not drinking with her at all, and then ended up staining her dress. And then the friend ended up going into the hospital. Erica had to watch her while she's going to the hospital. Meanwhile, the guy that she was trying to dance with at prom ends up making out with another woman. The main point of the episode and the show in general is that Erica keeps going back to certain memories in her life and trying to change them, thinking that if she could just do the right thing this time, that everything in her life would have been different. But instead of it actually being better, a lot of times a new problem ends up happening. And I think the reason this is so important, a lot of times people as they get older, they tend to look back on their younger days and think that they should have done a bunch of things differently, not realizing that their environment was different than it was now. And a lot of times how we act is based off of our environment. So for example, for me, of course, I wish that I could go back into high school and middle school because I was a really big people pleaser. Because I was a people pleaser, I had a lot of issues growing up. A lot of my friends would kind of, secretly bully me. I was kind of the laughing stock of my friend circle. I ended up actually being homeschooled sophomore year because I was getting so bullied. And of course, I would love a world where I could just go back and change things and make myself more confident, thinking that it might get me better results. But the truth is that me being more confident or me being more kind isn't going to make my environment less mean.
Ageism don't work.
Interesting observation. I think it's just one of them ones where we just got to realize that at the end of the day, we can't change our past. The only thing we can change is right now, because in reality, right now just dictates our future. So instead of us worrying about the future and worrying about getting old and things like that, bro, just do every single thing in your power to make sure that you're preparing your future for the type of lifestyle you want to live, A part of that is going to consist of, delayed gratification. A part of that is going to consist of you not chasing hedonism, chasing pleasure and things like that, and actually preparing yourself to be in a position where when you're older, you can travel whenever you want, if that's within your plans. You can have a family if you want, if that's within your plans. You can live life basically on your own terms, obviously within a boundary of your financial position. Do you get it? So my generation, especially me being Gen Z, we need to kind of do better. I know the older generations haven't necessarily set a foundation up for us to do so, but we're in a generation where we have a lot of information and access to a lot of resources as well, even though, yes, the world is getting harder and things like that at the same time. So I'm very, very big on accountability, taking agency and taking life literally into my own control, My people them, if you like my commentary or anything that I've said within this video, just leave a like, it boosts up in the algorithm. Also, if you like my commentary, make sure to subscribe. A lot of you guys don't subscribe, you just watch the videos and also you come back to the next video, etc. My people them, I appreciate you watching all the way to the end. Make sure to watch the next video that YouTube recommend you, because we drop a lot of game on this channel. My people them, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.